Hi there, good morning. This is Conway speaking here. I'm just going to see if I can. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining. Just going to see if I can give you guys actually. Hi, Ramina. Hi, Sue. It's Conway here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Conway. Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Perfect. I've just unmuted you. We don't have a huge audience today, so normally on a webinar I wouldn't I would not be unmuting everybody, but I think we've got about 7 or 8 people who've registered to attend, so I thought just to make it a bit more dynamic, I guess is the right word. Just give everyone the option to be able to chat to me and kind of pose questions, and also to just to listen to what other people are asking and thinking about as well. Okay, I think Ramina's on the line as well. Okay. So I think we're just going to give it a couple of more minutes. I'm recording this, just so you know. So I will be sending it out afterwards. There is a chat functionality as well if you're struggling to hear me, or if you want to ask a question but you don't want to talk, please feel free to just type a message there, and I'll be having a look at that. And if you have any questions or anything along those lines, let me just see if we had about 7 people register, so let's give it another couple more minutes. I think if you don't mind, we'll just give it until like 5 past, if that's okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And while we're waiting, I guess, how are things going on your side, Sue, Ramina? I think it's a very busy period for everyone at the moment, gearing up for Christmas and events and campaigns and things.
It is very busy, and it's Giving Tuesday today.
Yeah, it is, exactly. So I guess even more thanks to you for making the time to join. I know it's a busy day. I've just been looking on LinkedIn and on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and it's just Giving Tuesday posts everywhere, fundraising and crowdfunding and all kinds of other things going on. Anyone else at the moment? No, it's just okay. I'm conscious of time, so what I'm going to do is I am going to just kick it off. As I said earlier, I'm recording this, so I'll send this out to yourselves and obviously everyone else who was registered as well. So there'll be a recording link where you can go and actually have access to the recording. So obviously, I think for yourselves to have another look, and also to be able to share it with your colleagues or any other interested parties, I suppose. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen quickly. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Not currently. Ah, yes.
There should be a purple header slide that says Webinar Salesforce Overview and Demo. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to kick it off. Again, thank you for joining this morning. I think originally we were due to have an event with Salesforce, but due to unforeseen circumstances that we had to reschedule that. So we'll likely be doing that in the new year. So I will keep everyone sort of posted on that. But we will still be going ahead with that. But we didn't want to use the opportunity to do something today. So I think it's just the purpose for today, and I've put an agenda slide after this one, is to be kind of just discussing a bit more about economic change. I know we've had some conversations, and Alice has just joined as well. Morning. It's kind of just to talk a bit more about economic change and how we work with Salesforce and why we've chosen to work with Salesforce, and then to show you a very high level demonstration of the Salesforce solution, specifically the Salesforce NPSP, or the Nonprofit Success Pack. It would be high level because it's quite difficult in the amount of time that we have, and without to go to deep dive on specific pieces of functionality, or, whether it's fundraising or impact measurement, program management, volunteering, grant management. So I think the purpose for today is just to give you an idea of the look and feel. And then obviously we can always pick up that conversation, and there's some takeaways at the end as well. If you haven't already, some nice stuff that you can go and do and have a look at, which will hopefully be helpful to you. So I see Alice has joined as well. I'm just going to take a little mute. There we go. Hi Alice, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hiya.
Hi there. I've just taken everyone off mute at the moment because we don't have a massive audience, so it's okay to manage. So I've just been doing a bit of an intro. I guess at any point, please feel free to, there's a bit of noise in the background there. Please feel free to kind of stop me and ask questions. The advantage of having a slightly smaller audience is that we can do that, where sometimes obviously on a webinar we have 40 people, 50 people, so we have to kind of just keep everyone on mute. So I guess maybe before I jump into the introduction around economic change, for those of us who haven't spoken to each other, I'm Conway Buckle. I head up this picture of me in my kilt. Don't ask questions. And I've been with economic change now for almost about 6 months. I have been working in the Salesforce ecosystem, which is sort of the largest Salesforce kind of community for it's about 7 years now. So at one point I worked directly with Salesforce, more on the commercially focused team. But prior to that, I worked with a couple of other consulting partners, or Salesforce partners, very similar to economic change. The only difference being with those ones, I was more commercially focused. However, I did work on some non-profit projects and education projects when I was working with those consultancies. So that's one of the reasons I came on board at economic change, is that I wanted to do more of that type of work. And then I guess from a personal perspective, just feel like I was actually helping organizations to actually have an impact in the community, or, whatever type of services they're offering or programs they're running, something that I wanted to get more involved with. So let me sorry, I've got something in my throat. So some of you might be familiar with economic change, but just to sort of reiterate who we are. So if you look at the top right there, in terms of our credentials with Salesforce, we're a Salesforce.org impact partner, which gives us credentials to work with their non-profit products and clients. And that includes education institutions as well. So we've done a bit of that, and we are expanding more into that sector. So colleges and universities and so on. We're also a Salesforce Silver consulting partner, which is the other credential, which means we can work with their more commercial products, but quite often we use those products for nonprofits. So Salesforce has a huge suite of products in their technology stack, and we are accredited to work with pretty much all of them, bar maybe one, which is their marketing cloud, their huge sort of B2C, very retail type focused marketing solution. But we work with pretty much all of the other products. So whether it's marketing automation or service, analytics, communities, we can do work in all of those products as well, and quite often we do to provide solutions for nonprofits. That Cyber Essentials badge that you see over here, that just means that we are cyber secure in terms of the hardware that we use and the way that we work with organizations, and we've all of our equipment that we use is vetted from a security perspective, and the way that we work and the way that Salesforce works is very much focused on security around your data as a client and a Salesforce customer, and obviously just our own data as well, in the way that we work. So I think we talked a lot here about Salesforce, but I think it's quite important to point out that we're actually a management consultancy, not just a Salesforce partner. Yes, it's a key part of our business. We're a social enterprise as well, but we do and we have done a lot of work from a consultancy perspective. So we focus a lot on helping organizations with their strategy around CRM or just business process, or whatever the key areas there might be that organizations might be struggling. And that's how the organization started. Economic Change. My MD, Heather Black, started Economic Change about 12 years ago, before we even became a Salesforce partner, and it was focused on a lot of that. Within that, quite a big focus on impact measurement as well, which you can see is some of our key ingredients there. So really helping a lot of organizations define their performance indicators. If they didn't have a impact measurement framework or a theory of change in place, then we would help them to develop that, or further refine one that they might have in place. And then the Salesforce part of it came in, I think, when we were doing all this type of work and thinking, well, how can we support that with the right technology to be able to do all of that real-time analysis, to be able to get all of that those reports, and to be able to understand the data that we have, and where do we collect all of this data. And I think over a period of time, Heather had, and the team at Economic Change have grown very familiar with Salesforce and started using Salesforce ourselves. And then why don't we actually work with other organizations and become a Salesforce partner and help other organizations with the right technology. And I'll dive a bit more into the reasons that we work with Salesforce as well. And then I think the last one, on the right there, change management. I think that's a key component to any kind of transformation within an organization, whether it's technology or business process or even management structure, anything along those lines. It's really important to have some kind of change management plan, and a project in place that goes along with all of the other changes that are going on in an organization, and being able to have some sort of defined metrics, to understand whether the transformation that you put in place has been successful or not, and be able to track that sort of with milestones in place. So before it gets too far along the line, you can understand if whether it's a technology implementation or business process change, you can understand if it's being successful or not, and if not, how do we go about changing that so it is successful? What do we need to do? So we do a lot of work in that space as well, and it's really critical, I think, especially when there's a big transformation in an organization, not just in one department, but across many departments. And it might be technology and process all happening at the same time. And it's a lot for organizations to digest, and for staff members to digest, and for services to digest, So that's why we focus on that. So this is our team. Not everyone, but yeah, this is a pretty recent photo. That's me on the right-hand side over there. And then the rest of our team, Heather, my MD. So we have a lot of the team who do work remotely as well. So we have some people in Europe, some people up in the north of the country, some people in the deep west of the country. And that's, I think, one advantage of Salesforce, is that we can work remotely. As an organization, we support flexible working as well. But our office is based in London, just outside of Old Street Tube Station. And there's just a bit more here in terms of our certifications. So these are all Salesforce certifications that various members of the team have. And it's non-profit cloud consultant, which is the non-profit one that we work a lot in, which gives us that impact partner status. But then there's communities, Pardot, which is a marketing automation tool, advanced administrations, Pardot specialists, which is a bit different, a bit more advanced, app development, platform development, sales cloud, which it might not make sense, but we can use quite effectively in the non-profit space as well as service cloud. And then all of our consultants on the delivery side who work on projects, working with the clients that we have, are predominantly, if they're project managers, they've gone through project manager accreditations as well. A lot of them are certified in change management as well. And I think before I move on, I'd say about 80% of the team, especially on the delivery side, all come from non-profit backgrounds. So they were working in non-profits themselves, some large ones, some smaller ones. And they were working, at some point that we ended up working with Salesforce, and a couple of them ended up working with us when we were doing a Salesforce project with them. And kind of, so they fell in love with Salesforce, and a few of them said, can we come and work for you? We want to work with other organizations to work with Salesforce. So we have a few team members who've done that. I think the only reason I highlight that is just to talk about the fact that, we speak your language. The people who are going to be delivering your project and sitting down with you and scoping out and helping you design your solution are all people who've got real world experience in the nonprofit space themselves. So I think that's definitely a key differentiator if you look at ourselves versus some of the other partners out there. These are just a few logos, just to give you an idea of some of the organizations that we've worked with. So at the moment, it's actually sitting at about 240, almost 250 nonprofit clients. And we've definitely done over 120 various projects. So some clients we've done numerous projects. Quite often what we do is we go in and do a small solution around a specific area like fundraising or just basic CRM data management, or it might be around volunteering. And then based on the success of those projects, quite often we ask to come back and kind of extend Salesforce across more areas of the organization. So we have a lot of that. I'd say about 65% of our business actually is repeat or referral business, where people potentially move to other organizations. They've worked with us in an organization, they move to a new organization, and they bring us in to come and do a similar Salesforce work. So some of the reasons that they work with us, and I'm not going to spend too much time going through every line by line here. It's just really that, talking about the passion, that's, as I said, most of our team come from the nonprofit space, very passionate about nonprofits and helping organizations. And we do our best as a social enterprise to give back. We do things like today, running webinars. We do a lot of thought leadership. We've always got blogs going on. Sometimes we provide pro bono consulting. So we're very passionate about the space. I've already spoken about our referral rate, and we've been in business for quite a while. And we work very closely with you in terms of collaboration. We think a successful project isn't just about implementing a technology solution and walking away. It's about having an ongoing relationship and working closely with organizations to really understand what their pain points are and what is the best solution for them. And it's not about getting you the most expensive piece of technology in there, but what is the right piece of technology that's going to help the organization. On the integrity points, again, we are a social enterprise. We have a non-profit legal structure, and we do reinvest a lot of our surplus back into our organization, into helping other organizations, running events, doing sort of non-billable type work with clients as well, and often pro bono type work as well. And we really encourage organizations to grow with Salesforce. So we do a lot of training as part of our projects as well. We do a lot of coaching and consultancy. And we really encourage organizations to go on a journey of growth themselves. Specifically it might be around Salesforce or other areas, change management or project management. And we try and give as much guidance as we can to help organizations be able to empower themselves really. So I'll touch a little bit on our social mission. For those of you who are not familiar, we also run a program called Super Mums, where we actually train mums and also dads now who have left the workplace to go for various reasons. In the beginning, it was mostly around going to be with families or start families, but that's changed over time, and they're looking to come back into the workplace, and they're looking for something where they can have more flexibility, potentially work from home sometimes, or be on a contract basis, or work 3 days a week, or work their own hours. So we started the Super Mums program, training people up to become certified on Salesforce and to be able to ultimately to work in the Salesforce ecosystem as an administrator. And a lot of the trainees go on to get much more detailed certifications after that. So we had that program running, and we also used some of the super mums on some of our smaller projects to be able to do some pro bono work, which is where the discounted charity packages comes in over here, where we work with small organizations who don't have massive amounts of budget for technology projects, and we bring in a super mum who's certified to some of the more standard kind of configuration in Salesforce, but they are working with a much more experienced project manager and consultant who oversees the projects. And in that way, we're allowed that project work that they do as a super mom kind of is part of their training with us, as part of their coursework they have to do working on a live project before they can graduate from our course. So we do offer that as pro bono, their work that they do, because it's part of their coursework. But there is a small paid amount, but we're able to bring a significant sort of discount to a typical Salesforce project in that way. And then we do a lot of thought leadership. I've mentioned that already. So we do a lot of webinars. We do a lot of put out a lot of content on social media and on our website. And we provide sometimes free training. At the moment, we have a free online CRM planning course that we've been running. So we're constantly doing all of that, and that's just one way that we're trying to give back. And I think from a thought leadership perspective, we're very engaged in the space, and not only with Salesforce, but with sort of other leaders in the nonprofit space, and try to be as connected to other thought leaders in the nonprofit space and understand the trends of the industry, if you want to call it an industry, and to be able to provide guidance for our colleagues internally and for our clients. So we're almost at the demo section. I am conscious of time, so I think it's quite important to touch on this, like why Salesforce. There's loads of CRM solutions out there. Some that are specifically built for nonprofits. There's some that are kind of point solutions. You might only focus on one area, so it might be a fundraising solution or a grant making solution or a volunteer solution. But why we as an organization, and why do we think that the organizations that we work with, why do we think that we should go for Salesforce? I'm jumping ahead. So it might not seem relevant, but I think it is important to point out that Salesforce is definitely a leader in the CRM space, in terms of innovation, in terms of the product that they have, in terms of their growth and stability. So not only in the nonprofit space, but in the commercial space as well, Salesforce has consistently been voted the #1 cloud platform, and that's sort of independent voting. You know, you can see some logos there: Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Forbes. So Gartner. There's loads of information online if you'd like to go and see sort of Salesforce's reviews by independent third parties, and it is consistently the #1 cloud solution for CRM, for service, for nonprofits, for marketing, for industry-specific other solutions like finance or hospitality. So it's a really all-encompassing platform. And some of the advantages why it has been voted so strongly for it's just because it's cloud-based. It always has been cloud-based since day one. So when they started in 1998, 1999, they were the first cloud solution, when before anyone else ever heard of cloud and no one was using Facebook and Google and all of that kind of stuff. Salesforce was the first platform to go and be completely on the cloud, which means, you know, if you're not familiar with cloud, that it's accessible through any device, through an internet connection. Essentially, that's that simple. People thought they were crazy, and they thought, why are you doing that? And a lot of the other CRM providers that are out there, to mention a few names like Microsoft or Siebel, or there's a few of them, you know, traditional names, only kind of adopted cloud solutions way after Salesforce did, and they're kind of even today are a bit behind the trend. To be honest, they're behind in terms of innovation, and they're playing the catch-up game. And one of the reasons it's so powerful being in the cloud is that it is really fast to use and really fast to implement. There's no hardware, there's no software that you have to download or manage. So it's really quick to install, configure, and start using, which means that you start seeing some return on investment really quickly. You know, some organizations within a space of a couple of months, you start seeing some drastic improvements in fundraising, or in your ability to attract volunteers, or your ability to successfully apply for grants. You know, the ROI on Salesforce is really, really quick. In terms of innovation, the one benefit of being on a platform that also works with commercial organizations is that the platform is the same across all users. Doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit or if you're a financial institution or if you're a hospital or if you're a manufacturer, the technology at its core is the same. So all of those innovations that are going into the platform for those types of industries who have a lot of money to spend on development, the other organizations who potentially don't have as much money are taking advantage of that innovation, because once it's in the platform on Salesforce, it's in there and anyone can access it. Some other key features there is that it automatically upgrades. You don't have to pay for upgrades. 3 times a year, Salesforce upgrades the whole time. They take a lot of feedback from organizations on how to improve the platform. So they do have you can submit suggestions to Salesforce. So they take a lot of guidance from customers saying, well, we don't like that, we like this, why aren't you doing this? For example, why aren't you doing that over there? So quite often in those upgrades, those changes are made. Or if there's things that are no longer relevant, they take them out. So that the platform is constantly upgrading and changing, and innovation is being brought in. Again, on the cloud side of things, it's really powerful. It's just an open access, so you can access it from any device, from your phone, from your tablet, whether it's Apple or Android, obviously from a laptop or from a desktop. API first. APIs, without getting too technical, that means it can connect with other solutions as well. So APIs are what are called access platform integrators, which means that on the back end of Salesforce, it's an open ecosystem, and it can connect with other technology solutions. So if you have a financial package, or if you have a marketing solution that you're already using that you don't want to change, or if you have a survey tool, or if you have just your basics like your email, your calendar, it can be connected, all of that, to Salesforce. And that's just really powerful in terms of having a single data system in place that connects to everything else that you're doing, and that's where you work, and that's where all your data sits. So it's really powerful in that aspect. And then data portability, I'm not going to explain that. It's just about having that data in your pocket, essentially, in your phone, in your bag, and having it with you wherever you go, because all that information sits in the cloud, in the secure cloud. It's easy to use in terms of the subscription model, so you can add users, you can change users at any point. You don't have to. It's not an organization-wide license. You pay per user in a subscription model. Customizations are real time, so they happen dynamically, and they do work instantly once they have been done. And then there's also the Salesforce App Exchange, which is part of their open ecosystem, which is an app store essentially for Salesforce. So just like any other app store for your phone or for your laptop or your tablet, you can, once you're a Salesforce customer, you can go into the App Exchange, and there's probably about 5,000 different apps. Some of them are free. I'd say about a third of them, maybe just over that, are free. So once you have Salesforce up and running and you're really happy that everything's working well, you can go into the App Exchange and you can have a look and see what other types of specific solutions there are. There might be like a business card reading app. I think there's a few of them that are free, that you can just go onto the App Exchange, you can install it, and you can run it in Salesforce immediately. And then obviously with your phone, in that example, you have the business card reading app, so every time you go somewhere you can just scan a business card. So that's just one example. There's events apps, there's customer service apps, there's really advanced analytics and dashboards which you can download. There's loads of information on there, so I would really encourage you to have a look at that when you're considering Salesforce as well. And I think number one out of all of these, even though it's last on the list here, is that it's trusted. So Salesforce is obviously, as a cloud platform, there's a lot of questions around how secure is your data. Salesforce is very big on that. No one has ever broken into Salesforce data environments. In fact, every year at their annual conference, they have a challenge with a prize of $1 million, and they challenge hackers worldwide to try and hack into Salesforce, and no one's ever won the $1 million in the last 10, 15 years. So they're very secure, they're transparent about that. There is a website with help.salesforce.com that you can visit. It gives you up to the minute updates in terms of all their data centers. They've got 5 data centers currently, I think, worldwide. So there's some in Europe, some in the UK. So there's one in the UK, one in Europe. Obviously, from GDPR perspective, there has to be one here in the UK and one in Europe as well. There's data centers in the States, in Australia and Asia Pac as well. And that allows, because of the performance of scale, this means because they have these data centers running, you can have loads of data across all of their customers, and it's over 100,000 now, probably more, way more than that actually. But because of the data centers, and a lot of them, they mirror the information, so your data is stored in more than just one center. You could be sure that if there is an issue at one data center, that it will automatically just keep on running off the other data center. So they're very big on security, and if you want to know more about that, you can ask me. I'm not going to go into that one too much. I think this is quite important, just the connected nonprofits. So how is this all relevant for nonprofits? I mentioned before that this over here is a Salesforce platform, what you see at the bottom, and that's what all Salesforce customers have access to, no matter what industry you're in. So they all have the same innovation, have access to the same technology, and I think how is that relevant for nonprofits? So you can see all of these solutions that sit on the platform here: sales, service, marketing, community, analytics, apps. So all of these are accessible, and what Salesforce has done is they've developed a specific solution called the Nonprofit Success Pack, NPSP, where they've kind of out of the box, based on their experience working with, at that time when they came out with NPSP, about 35,000, maybe 40,000 customers in the nonprofit space worldwide. They came out with a solution, and understanding that there's some commonalities between all organizations. Typically, it's things like program management, how to engage with service users, volunteers, donors, funders, fundraising and grant management. So they developed a solution which has a lot of that basic functionality out of the box, and ties all these elements together: your trustees, events, alumni, constituents, members, grantees, funders, volunteers. So they've the NPSP is a further development of the Salesforce platform, where they've tried to make something a bit more suited specifically for nonprofits. Where we come in as an organization is we still understand that even with all of that development, no two organizations are exactly the same. So whether you're looking at program management or volunteer management or fundraising, there's still an element of customization that needs to happen, where we have to look at your process and we have to build a solution that suits you and your business. Because I think one of the key values of Salesforce, the value adds of Salesforce rather, is that we don't change your business to fit the technology. We change the technology to fit your organization. So we sit down, our role is to sit down with you, say, okay, you've gone with Salesforce. Now we sit down with you and work out exactly how it needs to look. And we're going to jump into a demo now, and you can see kind of, high level what Salesforce looks and feels like, but anything there is customizable. Page layouts, processes, rules, automation, all of that stuff is completely customizable for each organization. So there's just a little bit here about some of the things we're looking at when we are looking at a Salesforce solution, like what are the key things we're looking to get out of a CRM project? Whether it's Salesforce or not, it's actually relevant. CRM, why should we be looking at it? And it's some things that might seem obvious, but not all organizations are looking at these, or thinking about them in the correct way. It's improved service. So just having contact management and 360-degree view, data security, having a journey that you go on with your customers. Obviously, a key one is engagement. So how do we engage with service users, with stakeholders, with volunteers, with donors? So it's integrated marketing solutions, having a service element in there as well, cases, providing a platform for your stakeholders to communicate with you through a community potentially, integrating online surveys or forms. A key one, I think most organizations are always looking for this, especially in the nonprofit space. How do we get more efficiency and get away from manually entering records or duplication of entry of records, or having multiple systems and having to log in and log out, log in and log out, and try and run everything at the same time? How do we access it from a mobile or a tablet? And how do we automate some of that process so we don't even have to think about it? It just happens in the background based on the business process that we have as an organization. So that's a key area there, and that's where a lot of organizations immediately start to see some return on investment. I think a bit more advanced and definitely relevant for some organizations more than it is for others, but business intelligence is key. Having all that data is great, and having all these integrated systems over here, that's fantastic. But what do we do with all of it? How do we analyze it? How do we dissect it? How do we get value out of it? Because you might be collecting data from multiple points and have thousands of pieces of data records coming in on a weekly or monthly basis. But what's the point of that if you can't analyze it and use that information to improve your organization, improve your delivery, raise more funds, attract more volunteers, whatever it might be that you're looking to do. So the key part of that is business intelligence and having reporting and dashboards in place. And Salesforce comes out of the box with some amazing stuff in place, and you can always develop more. And I think it's just financials. The last point here is financial sustainability. So being able to just kind of be a sustainable organization, to make sure that the funding is coming in, payments are coming in from donors. You can integrate with your financial solutions, and there's seamless integration. So your finance team knows what your fundraising team is doing, and the organization is kind of seen as one cohesive unit across finance and operations and service delivery. And obviously financial sustainability is a key point for any organization, any commercial business. If you're not financially stable and sustainable, then it's very unlikely that your organization is going to succeed and be around in the long term. So that's a key part of it as well. I'll send this deck out to you guys so you can read a bit more about this, but essentially it's about, when we work with organizations, clients also need to take some ownership of Salesforce and of the project. We can't just come in and do a load of work and have a load of meetings and do a lot of workshopping and then hand it over to you. And if you are not bought in and there's no engagement from your various teams and your executives, there's no change management plan. If no one is managing that internally, it's highly unlikely that the project will be successful. So there's always a huge element of client ownership when we work with organizations, and we really encourage organizations to take the Salesforce project on board internally. We always encourage organizations to have someone, at least one person, who's kind of dedicated to managing Salesforce and upskilling themselves and kind of championing Salesforce within their organization. So I'll send this out. You can have a deeper look at that. And I'm going to jump into a demo quickly. If I can, what am I doing here? There we go. Give me 1 second. There we go. So, do you have any questions before I jump into any of this? No? Okay. All right, so this is the homepage of Salesforce. What I wanted to show you quickly is how I log into Salesforce. It's really the basics, but a lot of people say, well, how do I get into Salesforce? So I would literally be in my laptop. I would be in my, whatever, it could be on your tablet, and I'll just go to salesforce.com and I'll go to login here, and then I'll have my username, which is typically an email address, and I'll have a password. I've got loads of them because I've got loads of different Salesforce passwords and things. But so this is exactly what you would see when you're trying to log in. What is your username? What is your password? Obviously, each user has their own unique password. You will be encouraged always to reset it after a period of time. If someone else tries to log in from a different machine, you'll be notified from a security aspect. You can set up things like two-factor authentication, where Salesforce will send you text messages, or your fingerprint or something like that if you have that type of device. So they're very big on security. And essentially, you'll just log in, and that's it, just through your browser. And that would bring you to your home page, which is this page over here, which I'm just going to jump to because it's already on the one that I want. So this is your Salesforce homepage. This is what you'll see. This is a demo environment that was done for one of my other consultants was using it. We've got a few different ones that we use to try and show different pieces of functionality. This one's been branded here Steps. I'm not sure why it's called Steps, but it is called Steps, and obviously that could be changed. You could put your own your own organization logo there. You could change the background colors and things like that. But this is essentially the homepage that you would see, but this can also be customized. Which I think it's important to remember that anything in Salesforce can be customized. So the layout of a home page, the layout of pages, the data that you see, where you see it, when you see it. So this is just a development analysis dashboard that's been put up here. And you could put any information on here. If you're in the funding, as a user, you can have your own homepage. So if I'm the fundraising team, I can see all kinds of fundraising information and donor information when I log in. And the idea with the homepage, if I'm a volunteer manager, I can also see the volunteer information, whatever I need to see. If I'm in a leadership position within the organization, or an executive, or operations, I can see information from all of the teams if I like. But the idea is that you can log in and have an insight into the information that's relevant to you straight off the bat. It tells you what records you've been looking at recently. If you're in the fundraising team, what opportunities have I been looking at? You can see Disney Foundation grants over here. And then it also ties in with events and tasks. So there's nothing loaded here, but there's a calendar within Salesforce, so I can create events, or I can sync it with my Microsoft Outlook calendar if I like, or my Gmail calendar. And I can create my own tasks as reminders for myself, or people can assign me tasks. So if I'm the fundraising team, my head of fundraising might set me up a few tasks for today, saying please contact X, Y, and Z, and we need to speak to them. We're chasing them on a grant application, so other people can assign me tasks as well. And the idea is that I log in and I can see everything relevant for me on that day here on my page. Where am I in terms of my dashboards, and tracking against my KPIs? What activities do I have over here? What have I been looking at recently? What are the key things that I'm looking at the moment? So that's your homepage. I'm going to jump over here and show you an account. So there's loads of different types of accounts. An account in Salesforce world, contacts and accounts are always related in a relationship level. So a contact always needs to be associated with account. You can see I'm just going to open one of these. So let's say I'm a fundraiser and I've been working with JP Chase Foundation. This will be their account record. So within this page, you can see sort of high level, just some contact information, who owns that account, phone number, what type of account is it, a foundation, how many, what's the value of donations that they've given to us, or funding that they've given to us, and there's some more detail here as well. But again, you can completely customize this. So whatever information you want to track with organizations that you're working with or funders that you're engaged with, you can start tracking all of that as well. It does, once you have their address, it automatically works with Google Maps. So you can, it has their details here. And if I'm on my phone and I'm open Salesforce and I look at that address, I can click on it and it will automatically open my Google Maps and give me directions to where I need to be going. You can see here a full description. If it's up to you again what you'd like to input there. Most importantly, you can see donation or funding information. So when did they first give us funding? When was the last time? What is the average amount? When was the best year? So any information around the donations or funding from various accounts, because you can obviously have individual accounts, individual givers as well. So all of that information is pulled into Salesforce here. Again, more information around their donation totals. This is where the analytics part comes in. Number of gifts in the last X amount of days, how many this year, etc., etc. And then matching information, so donation matching. So we can also do that within Salesforce as well. And grant making, any information here, you can start tracking. What you can see is the system information is quite nice from a internal intelligence perspective. Who created this account record? Who owns this account record? When was it last modified? So you can start tracking historically who's been engaged with various accounts, whether it's funders or it's individual givers or it's volunteers or whoever it might be. And it's really important to have this audit trail, we believe, because a lot of time people are working in an organization, they leave the organization and no one has any idea of who they spoke to last, when they spoke to them, what they spoke to them about. So it doesn't matter in Salesforce, even if Jody here created this, but she left the organization 2 months later, we can still see that Jody actually was the original person who created this account. So at some point, we know that Jody's been engaged with JP Chase. So this is the detail page on an account. You can see on the right-hand side, which is really nice, you can see all activity and engagement with them. Phone calls, emails, meetings, upcoming events, and especially like once you've integrated email and calendar, email sync will automatically sync with this account and whoever you have related in this account. So you'll obviously have contacts within an account as well. So all of your contacts, affiliated contacts, contacts at JP Morgan Chase, any opportunities we've been applying for funding, we can track here as well. So anything related to this account at JP Morgan Chase is stored against their account record. Social personas, you can start integrating Twitter, LinkedIn. You can attach, quite importantly as well, you can attach files, so you can upload from external, from your hard drive, from other data sources. You can upload images, PDFs, Excel sheets, whatever it is, contracts. You could scan in documents and attach them here. So the idea being that this account record has everything related to that account that you could possibly want to have. I'm not sure why it's got pets. I think I don't think that's really relevant, but I think Graham, who built this, was doing something with a pet demo at some point. But you can, there's something called Quip that is a Salesforce product where you can actually use, it's almost similar to having like a communication tool, a document management tool, almost like a Dropbox, I guess. So we can connect Quip to this as well, and you can see all of the documents there. Just to go back to this side on the activity and chatter, you can see here I can create new tasks. So I can say new task, call JP Morgan, and I can say when is this due? Today, and this is a test. I'll just, there we go. Assign to myself. No, I'll assign it to Graham, my colleague, over there. So his status is not started, in progress. Obviously, Graham will update that once he has given them a call. When I save this, he will log this against his account record, but then Graham will also get a notification saying, you know, he'll get something in Salesforce on his notification bar up here. You can see this is all the notifications where his bell is. As you can see, Graham's mentioned something to me as well. But Graham will also get a notification in his email inbox because it's integrated saying, you've got a message in Salesforce, we need to speak to this person at JP Morgan Chase. You can email as well if you'd like to, directly out of Salesforce, once it's connected to your email account. Most organizations prefer to use their normal email service provider, whether it's Outlook or Gmail, whatever you might be using, and it does integrate, but you can have the option of emailing directly out of Salesforce. You can log calls. So every time I speak to someone, I can log a call, and then what I spoke about, who I spoke to, what account is this related to, what contact is this related to, and I can also, similar to calendars, I can use calendar in here, or I can use calendar, my normal calendar that I have with Outlook or Gmail as well. What's quite nice about Chatter is that I can, so Chatter is kind of like a WhatsApp kind of solution from Salesforce, but unlike WhatsApp, it keeps everything connected in your CRM. So, you know, a lot of people, organizations do use WhatsApp to just kind of send messages to each other. Have you spoken to that person? Have you done this task over here? But you can't track that in a CRM. It's just an external solution. So they developed Chatter, which allows me to do certain things. I can post, I can say, Graham again. So I mention him, at Graham, did you speak to Mike at JP Morgan, for example? And then I will just send him a message. And you can attach documents and images and things here as well. I just share that, and then Graham will get a notification. You can even run internally. You can run a poll. Hi guys, I'm thinking about proposing X, Y, and Z to this organization. What do you think? Here's some options. You can ask questions. So it's a really powerful communication tool, and obviously it works through your phone as well. So quite often we use Salesforce. You know, quite often people will mention me and send me a query about an organization or you know, about Salesforce, and I could just answer on my phone instead of using WhatsApp. You just use that, and the great thing is, again, you can start tracking all of that. You know, so that's essentially what an account page looks like. Contacts always sit within accounts, so it could be donors, it could be clients. What I'm going to do is let me just show you something before I move on to that. So here are different types of accounts you could have. You could have an organization account. We can set up different types of account reports. So you could have You could have foundation account records. You could have, it could just be called an organization. You could have a household account. So a household account typically in Salesforce is an individual giver, because someone might come into the system as a one-off donation or recurring donor as an individual. But because of the data structure within Salesforce, they always have to have an individual contact, always has to have an account. So the way Salesforce does that, it creates automatically a household account. So there will be an individual donor who's a contact, but they'll have their own household account as well. That makes sense. So I can go into a contact record here. Let me just pull up an individual contact, donor contact. So we can see here's a list of donors as contacts. We can see, we can give them ratings if we like, out of 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. Where are they from? This is all US centric, but obviously we can change that. And I can just click into each one and just see some information about the specific contact, this donor contact that we have. So what donor level is there? You can have different types of donor levels. You can have, as I've mentioned earlier, they would automatically, as an individual donor, be associated, they would get created a household account. And again, this is just the data structure of Salesforce. And again, you can start tracking any information you like around them from these individual contacts. It's really up to you. A supporter, gender, date of birth, all of their contact information, email addresses, a map to their address. Importantly, as a individual donor, their donation information. So first gift, last gift, average gift, the amounts that they've been giving, donation totals, soft credit, household donation info, because what happens, and one of the reasons it creates a household account, is that you might have Adrian here, who comes into your organization, into your CRM as an individual donor, and then 3 months later, Adrian's sister or brother or father decides that they also want to donate. So they would also then have their own individual donor record, but they would potentially join the household account. So you can start tracking across your individual donors who's related to who. So you can have a household account with a few different individual donors who are all related to each other, but it will come to you separately. So it gets really powerful from a relationship management perspective, understanding your donor base, and how to potentially grow that as well. If you have a membership organization, you can start tracking their membership here as well. Index membership levels, we can create renewals around their membership as well and have an element of contract membership as well. If they are volunteers, you can track whether they are volunteers as well for your organization, because they might be donors as well as working with your organization on a volunteer basis. So it gets really powerful. Any information around the specific contact you can track. And again, you can understand internally who created this record, who owns it, and who last modified it, and where it came from. It came from an inbound call. So I'm conscious of time, and I know we don't have too much left. I just want to go through a lead here. So a lead could be a individual giver. It could be someone that you've met at a trade event, who you want to approach for some major funding, or they might be from a foundation. So this was when we would create a lead. So they could come in from multiple channels, and this could be automatically created as well. If someone contacts you through your website, through social media, or a form, that we put onto your website potentially, we could automate it, that it automatically pulls this information in. And this could be a volunteer. This could be someone who wants to sign up for a membership. Any of those different activities, we would potentially create a lead, and it doesn't have to be called a lead or an opportunity. That's just the sort of standard Salesforce naming conventions. You could change the name of those as well. Completely up to you. Again, you're capturing all this information around them, where they're from, how you score them, are they a decision maker, do they have any budget to allocate funding, anything you want to track around them. Again, any related information you can track. You can tag in any emails, SMSs, if they've been part of a campaign that you're running through Salesforce, because Salesforce does have some basic campaigning functionality. You can track which campaign they've come from as well. I think most importantly, though, you have what we call a lead path at the top here, which is and you can define what this looks like. How do I track this person from being a lead to an opportunity, to actually then being someone in an organization who gives us a huge grant for the year or the next 5 years or whatever it might be. So I can then track people through this, and I can change these stages. For the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to convert this, and then you'll see what happens when I select converted status. It should then create a new account. So they'll come in as a lead, and then once you convert them and you've had a conversation or a meeting or whatever it might be that you need to have to in your process to convert them to be a member or to be a donor or a funder or a volunteer, then you can convert them, and it will automatically create an account. And then you can set it up to automatically create an opportunity as well. So here it will create an opportunity. You can choose not to do that. So you can say Interstate Brands Corp Grant 2020, for example. I just click convert, and then it will create a new account, create a new opportunity, and then I can go in and edit the opportunity. There we go. So I can choose that opportunity here, and then it will automatically show me, it pulls all the information that I collected from that lead and automatically converts it and pulls that all into the opportunity. And then you can start seeing what they haven't yet, because they're still an opportunity, they're not made any payments to you or given any donations or anything yet. If they're looking for membership, have they signed up for the membership yet? So you can start understanding more and more about this opportunity. In this use case, you've just got 2 stages. You could have as many as you like to track this and convert this potential funder or potential donor to actually being a funder or donor. You could have 5 stages. Again, this is completely customizable. So you could say here, stage pledge. You can track all activity around this again, who's been emailing, the phone calls. You can see any related information, any payments, engagement plans, anything like that. And we can quickly description. You can put an amount in here. So Interstate Brands Corp, they said they're going to donate £200,000 this year. The 200,000? No, that's 20,000. Go. Just save that. Thank you very much. So you can start tracking. This is the potential amount of funding that they're going to give us. When did they say we're going to receive this money? End of December. Fantastic. They've pledged it. Probability 50%. I've got a really good feeling. I'm going to make that 80%. And you can just start tracking all kinds of different metrics around that. Acknowledgement status, acknowledged, anything here, matching gifts or anything like that. Whatever information you want to start tracking, I can just save that. And obviously, as I'm updating this, at any point, anyone can come into the system as long as they have the right profile to be able to view all information. They can see what I've updated, and when's the last time I spoke to them, and when has that stage changed, and when is that probability changed. And then I can have a conversation with someone there, and I can say, yes, I've closed that. Select closed stage, closed one. We've won that application, and we will be getting that funding. And then it closes the opportunity for me. There are a lot of different things around campaigns. It's not, campaigns are really powerful for doing some basic emailing campaigning. You could even have an event as a campaign if you like. Here's a Christmas mailing campaign I'll show you quickly. And you can run some basic campaigns out of Salesforce. It does integrate with things like MailChimp as well. There's a free integration, so a lot of organizations, use something like MailChimp, or they maybe do have a SurveyMonkey. So we can integrate those as well. I just wanted to show you some reports quickly. So we're talking a lot about donations. I'm just going to stick on a donation report here quickly. So here's one example of a report from Salesforce, and it's really easy within Salesforce to take an existing report that comes out of the box, and then to be able to customize it, add filters, look at it visually as well. So there's one visual representation that you can see. I can change the layout of that as well if I like. I can have a look at it as a, all right, what should I look at? Look at it as a donut. For example, no, it's not letting me do that. And my computer seems to have. No, there we go. Okay, so there's another different graphic representation. You can see throughout the year. You can see this one over here as well. So it really depends on how you want to visually look at that information. That view is probably a bit too complicated, but underneath that is all of our donor information. So I can start seeing donations per month, April, May, June, July, all of the various donations. And I can go across detail rows. I can add filters if I like. Show me all opportunities. I will say, not sure what's going on here. It seems very slow. Let me see only my opportunities that I've been working on. So I'm a user. I want to come in and see all of my opportunities. And I don't have any. Maybe a bad example. My team's selling opportunities. Let's have a look at that one. Nope. Okay. Obviously for the demo, that hasn't been done that way. Okay. But this is just one example of a report. I can show quite a few others as well. It's taking a while. Let's see. Program participant satisfaction is another one. So obviously you can do program management within Salesforce. I know we're going a bit over time here, but I just want to show if we can carry on for another 5 minutes, I can show you a few other things. I mean, this is a high-level demo. Definitely not enough time to dive into everything. So here's program participant satisfaction. So maybe we've integrated with a survey tool like SurveyMonkey, or we've done a campaign out of Salesforce using a template, and we sent out an email campaign asking for some feedback on our programs. And you can see here, you know, satisfied, somewhat satisfied, very satisfied, not satisfied. You can see program participant names. I can click on one of those records potentially, and straight away I can see who's that service user who was involved in this program, which is the employment program that we have running. So then you can drill down into that. Well, I can just go back and have another look. Okay, I just wanted to see here. Here's our programs as well within Salesforce. So this, just to, while I just quickly went down here and clicked the drop down, this layout at the top, these tabs, these can be customized as well. You can have as many or as few as you like. You can choose which ones you want to see there, which ones you don't want to see there. I mean, I've got extra ones here, recurring donations, programs. So one of the programs I wanted to show you quickly is just how a program looks in Salesforce. Is our employment training. So in this demo environment, there was an employment training program that we've been running. You can see it's still active. You can start tracking when it's completed, when it's been approved, for example. You can see what are the focus areas, start date, end date, how many participants, and these will obviously then you can click further down and see which of your contacts within Salesforce are involved with this program. You can see related here, which shows you all of the participants. These are all test users that we put in for this, but then I could click into each one of these and see, okay, here's this contact record. If there's volunteers, who are working on this program, I could put someone in there and say, okay, new volunteer application. So I've got someone external who wants to volunteer with us on this specific program. I can upload that information. And then program funding connectors. Okay, so where's the funding for this program coming from? And how much is it? So I can say it's from Interstate Brands Corp. There we go. So you can straight away, I can see where the money for a specific program is coming from. You can also start looking at how much of the funding overall from Interstate is funding each specific program. And again, with the reporting and the dashboards, you can get quite creative about how you visualize that. We saw some dashboards on the homepage when we logged on, and here are some other dashboards that we've set up for this demo, and you can pretty much build any kind of dashboards that you like. So a dashboard is essentially just a collection of different data all put together on one page. So you could choose, and these are all based off different reports in Salesforce, which have been obviously visualized using these graphs. So you can create different dashboards, whether it's fundraising, whether it's volunteers, whether it's program management, whether it's just an executive dashboard, whatever you want, whatever information you want to see, you can do that. And you can see a program participant rating. I can see 974 records. I can see goals met, only 55.32% out of 1,100. Some goals met, only 3.36% of participants are saying that they did. No rating at all from 974, which is almost 90%. So why aren't we getting any ratings? Maybe we need to reach out to them and understand more about that. Then you can see, because in this example, we've been running an employment program. So what is the wage change from people who've been through our employment program in this example? They've gone from 11.6 pounds per hour up to 17. And these are the different changes over a period of time. So any information really, number of job interviews, number of job offers, any information related to the program and the program's outcomes that you're tracking against KPIs you might have set from your funders or from local authority or whoever it is that you're working with. There's some other pretty cool dashboards that we can look at as well. Here is a donations dashboard. Average donations per year, donations per month, donation sum per year, any top 25 household gifts this year, so individual donors. This person's given £16,000, they've given 14,000. I wish I was in a position to give people £16,000. Wow. So again, just a really powerful way of surfacing all the information that sits, all the data that sits in reports and in your CRM, to quickly look at it, understand it, and then at any point I can just go in and drill down on one of these. So I can click on that and it takes me to the report. So if I see something that doesn't look right or something I want to learn more about, then I can go into this and it takes me straight to the report, and I can start seeing, okay, so what amount, expected, close date, stage, fiscal period, whatever information it is that I'm tracking, I can drill down into that report and then just go back to the dashboard whenever I want to. What's really nice with this as well is you can start giving access to various stakeholders. So you might have people who sit on your board, the trustees, who don't need full access to all the information in Salesforce, but they need access to be able to see this dashboard. So you can give them access to see this kind of information. You can also go into report here, choose this one, and I can download this and I can email it. I can edit it, obviously, but if I go to the click down here, it'll just take a little while to load up. Okay, so I can edit it, I can save as, I can export it. So let me see. You see one of the options there was subscribe. So if I'm a user and I'm not on the fundraising team, but I want to keep track of something that's happening on the fundraising side, I can subscribe to a report, and every time there's an update, I'll get notified. I can export this as an Excel format. You can have other options, CSV if you like. You can export it and then download it out of Salesforce and email it off. You can set it up as well that if you wanted automated emails of various reports at a regular basis, so once a month you wanted a donation tracking report to go to your board, then you can set up an automated email through a workflow that will automatically send that out. So again, just providing some more efficiencies and automation out of that. But you can download any information you like out of Salesforce. So I'm conscious we've gone over a bit over on time. Apologies for that. I was trying to get through as much as I could. There's still lots more to know about Salesforce. There's still lots more to see about Salesforce. As I said in the beginning of the demo, this is definitely not a custom demo focused specifically on one area like fundraising or volunteering. I was just trying to get through as much as I can just to give you a look and feel and show you what might be possible within Salesforce. So I think just as we wind up on here, do you have any questions for me at this point? Anyone? No? Okay. So there's just a couple of takeaways. I put some nice things for you to be able to do at the end of this, during this week. If you haven't registered already for a free trial of Salesforce, where you can get access to that nonprofit success pack, you can do so by visiting this website, salesforce.org/nonprofit/power of us, and you can go there and register for your free 30-day trial. You can also then, if you decide you want to go with Salesforce, you can also start going through the application process for your 10 free licenses with the Power of Us program. So any nonprofit gets 10 free licenses. They'll just ask you for some details like your registration, your registered charity number, and a few other pieces of information. And that takes normally about 2 to 3 weeks maximum to get that assigned. If you want to learn more about Salesforce and how to manage Salesforce, and whether it's whatever specific area, reporting, or just a basic administration, creating users, changing page layouts, getting your certification if you want to become Salesforce certified, you can visit something called Salesforce Trailheads. The address is here, trailhead.salesforce.com, and that's a free learning resource, online learning resource for customers and non-customers on Salesforce. And so it's really powerful, and it's a really great way to learn more about Salesforce. And they've also got loads of content on there around other areas, not just technology, around management practice, best practice, business process, best practice, customer service, whatever it is that you might want to learn a bit more about. Salesforce Trailhead is a great way to go. We do a lot of training as well, economic change as an organization, and I'm more than happy to chat to you about that. And please do contact me. For those of you I haven't spoken to already, these are my contact details, my email address, and my mobile number. Please do, if you want to learn more. I know I've spoken to a few of you already, but if there's something from today that you want to learn more about, or if you just want to learn more in general about how we can help you, please do contact me at any time. And if I'm not available, you can always go to our website here, economicchange.co.uk. And we always welcome, there's our address. You're always welcome to come around and visit our offices as well. We have no problem with that. So I'm just going to wind it up there. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be speaking to you, a couple of you, pretty soon. But I will be sending out a recording of this this webinar and a PDF version of this presentation that I went through this morning as well, so you can have that on record. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to close it off now.
Thank you, Conway.
Conway.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
Bye.